All right, so now let's graph linear equations in two variables. Okay, so the graph of a linear equation that is in this form right here, where A, B, and C are real numbers, is a line. So you could have something that looks like this: 2x plus 3y equals 6. And if you graphed that, if you graphed all the points that are on that line or that are solutions of that equation, then what you would get is you would get a line. And so it says here, every point on the line is a solution of the equation, and every solution of this equation is a point on the line. Okay, so on this problem, they've already graphed y equals 2x minus 3 for us. This is the graph right here of y equals 2x minus 3. And so now the question says, is the ordered pair a solution? So for each of these A, B, C, and D, we're going to determine, is the ordered pair a solution to the equation? So that means we're going to look at this point, we're going to see if it lies on that line. So look at A. We've got 0, negative 3. 0, negative 3 is down here. So we would say yes, because that dot lies on that line. So it actually answers both A and B. Is the ordered pair a solution to the equation? Now notice we can also check by putting 0 in for x and negative 3 in for y and seeing if it comes up with a true statement. So if we wanted to do that, we could. So negative 3 is equal to 2 times 0 minus 3. That goes away, so you're left with negative 3 is equal to negative 3. So yes, that is a true statement. It is a solution, and it is a point on the line. Okay, so now let's look at point B. Point B is 3, 3. So we're going to go right 3, up 3, and look at that. It's also on the line. And so we could test that algebraically as well if we wanted to. So 3 is equal to 2 times 3 minus 3. 3 is equal to 6 minus 3. Yep, that one works as well. So on part B, we would say yes to that one as well. And keep in mind, if you know that the dot lies on the line, you don't have to do this business right here. That's just double checking your work, and that's okay. It's okay to do that, but it's not necessary. If you can tell for sure that that dot lies on the line, you don't have to do the math, that algebra. All right, so let's look at C. 2, negative 3, that's right 2, down 3, that's right here. Notice how that dot is not on the line, so we would say no. Again, if you wanted to double check, you could do the algebra. Negative 3 does not equal 1. So again, that's how you can double check this work. All right, so part D, negative 1, negative 5. Negative 1, that's left 1 and down 5. Look at that. It's also on the line. So I would say yes to that one as well. And so think about it. How many possible solutions are on this line? There truly are an infinite number of possible solutions. All right, for this problem, we're going to graph the equation y equals 2x plus 1 by plotting points. My recommendation is create a table. You get to pick values of x or y, it doesn't matter. In this type of problem where you've got y by itself, I would just put in values for x. And I'd pick values that were nice to me, that made the math easy. So I've got y is equal to 2 times 0 plus 1, so that is 1. So I have a dot at 0, 1. Now I'm going to put in 1 where I see x. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. And now I'm going to put in 2. 2 times 2 plus 1. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 plus 1 is 5. So 0, 1 is right here. 1, 3 is right here. And 2, 5 is right here. Connect your dots. Don't forget to put arrows on the end of your line. And you're done. We have graphed that equation. The math department here really does like for you to label key points on the line. So they would like for you to label maybe your y-intercept here. And also write the equation of the line below it. That's something that future math teachers will probably be looking very closely at. For me, I typically will look at just your points and make sure that you drew your line through the points. And I'm pretty happy with that. But again, your future math teachers would love for you to do something like this and this. So it's not a bad idea to get in this good habit now. Alright, so now we're going to graph y equals negative 3x. And again, just pick values of x that'll make your life easy. Maybe negative 1 might work this time. So let's try these three. So I've got y is equal to negative 3 times 0, which is 0. So I've got an ordered pair at 0, 0. Now I'm going to try negative 1. Negative 3 times negative 1 is positive 3. So I have an ordered pair or a point at negative 1, 3. And now I'm going to try positive 1. Negative 3 times 1 is negative 3. So I've got 1, negative 3. Okay, so I've got 3 points. And remember, all 3 of these should line up to be in a line. If you get something that looks like a triangle, you've messed up your math on one of the points. At least one of the points. Okay, so negative 1, 3, that's left 1, up 3. And 1, negative 3, right 1, down 3. Okay, connect your dots. And draw your arrows on the end. Label key point. Write the equation next to the line. And we're done. Okay, so on this one, we have a fraction in here, which, you know, with a calculator, fractions really aren't hard to deal with. But it really does make our life just a little bit easier to deal with whole numbers. So here's my recommendation. Always use the number 0. 0 is great for any situation. But whenever you pick your other two numbers, my recommendation is pick numbers that are multiples of the denominator, that number right there. If you pick numbers that are multiples of that, then you're only going to get whole number answers, and that makes your life just a little bit easier. So I would recommend to use maybe 2 and negative 2 here. So I'm going to put in 0 first. Y is equal to 1/2 times 0 plus 3. That is 3. Now I'm going to put in 2. Half of 2 is 1. 1 plus 3 is 4. Now I'm going to put in negative 2. Half of negative 2 is negative 1. Negative 1 plus 3 is 2. Okay, so now we have 3 points. Again, they need to line up in a straight line. If they don't, then we've messed up our math somewhere. So 0, 3 is right here. 2, 4, right 2, up 4 is right here. And negative 2, that's left 2, up 2 is right here. And look at those. Those do line up nicely. And we're done. Okay, so for this one, notice how it looks just a little bit different. We've got this one in standard form. So I honestly recommend that if you have something in standard form and this y does not have a number or a coefficient in front of it, then I think you should put it in a form of like the problems that we just got finished doing. So we're going to change the format of this thing a little bit. and I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. So that goes away. So I've got y is equal to negative 3x minus 1. Okay, so now this is the equation that I'm going to put in values of x for. All right, again, 0 always works. It's a great one. In this, I'd probably do maybe negative 1 and positive 1. So I've got y is equal to negative 3 times 0 minus 1, so I get negative 1 on that one. On this one, y is equal to negative 3 times negative 1 minus 1. Negative 3 times negative 1 is positive 3. 3 minus 1 is 2. And on this last one, y is equal to negative 3 times positive 1 minus 1. Negative 3 times positive 1 is negative 3. Negative 3 minus 1 is negative 4. Okay, so 0, negative 1 is right here. Negative 1, 2, left 1, up 2 is right here. And 1, negative 4, that means right 1, down 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and those look like they line up in a line. So, oops, that's a terrible line. Okay, let's try this again. There we go, that's a little bit better. All right, so there we go, there's our line. And again, if you want to label key points, so we're going to label maybe this one. And you always write, whenever you write the equation next to the line, always write the original one, the one that our problem started off with, not the one that we turned it into. So write this thing. So 3x plus y equals negative 1. And that's it. Okay, so there's a couple of different ways to work this problem. You can fill in values of x's and y's that that work, that make this thing something that is possible. Or you could turn this into where we have y by itself. And eventually you're going to have to get pretty good at that. So you might want to start practicing now. So if we turn this into something that says y equals something, first thing you want to do is you want to subtract 2x from both sides. And then you divide every single term by negative 3. And you get y is equal to positive 2/3 x minus 2, because positive 6 divided by negative 3 is a negative 2. Okay, so now this is the equation that we're going to find values of x. All right, so again, earlier whenever we had a problem that had a fraction in it, I told you that it would make your life a lot easier if you would pick numbers that were multiples of the denominator. And here's what I mean by that. So like I said, 0 always works. So I'm going to pick numbers that are multiples of the denominator. In this case, it's 3. So I'm going to pick maybe 3 and maybe negative 3. Okay, so see what happens here. Y is equal to 2/3 times 0 minus 2. So I just get out negative 2 here. Now I'm going to put in 3. Y is equal to 2/3 times 3 minus 2. Now notice on this one that your 3's cancel. So I'm left with 2 minus 2, which is 0. Now I'm going to try negative 3. So y is equal to 2/3 times negative 3 minus 2. The 3's cancel, but the negative does not. So 2 times negative 1 basically is negative 2 minus 2 is negative 4. And if any of that math messes with your head, grab your calculator and do the math on the calculator. All right, so now we're going to graph it. 0, negative 2 is right here. 3, 0 is right here. And negative 3, negative 4 is right here. And those look like they line up. So I'm going to draw a line in between them and put arrows on the end. And typically what we do is we label the dots or the points that cross an axis. And see this one right here, 0, negative 2, that one crosses or is on the y-axis. And the one that's on the x-axis, I would label that one as well. And then you write the equation of the line above it. Oops, that's a minus. There we go. And now you're done. Okay, so here's what I want you to notice on this equation right here. Where's your y? Your y is gone. So guess what that means? That means that in this situation, since we don't have a y in the equation, that y can be any number you want it to be, but no matter what, x is going to be 2. Okay, x is 2. So you get to pick whatever values you want for y. It doesn't matter what numbers you pick. And look what happens with this problem. 2, 0 is right here. 2, 1 is right here. 2, 2 is right here. Look at that. This is a vertical line. Notice that it crosses only the x-axis. It does not cross the y-axis. So this equation right here, x equals 2, is only allowed to cross the x-axis, and it crosses it at 2. Alright, so now this one, it only has a y in the equation. So that means that no matter what, our y is going to be negative 1. No matter what x value you pick, your y value will be negative 1. And I just picked easy numbers. So 0, negative 1 is right here. 1, negative 1 is right here. 2, negative 1 is right here. Notice that this line only crosses the y-axis. It's not allowed to cross the x-axis if it doesn't have an x in the equation. So this one crosses the y-axis only at negative 1, and it is a horizontal line. Alright, so now we're going to take a look and we're going to compare these. So we're going to graph y equals negative 3x, and then we're also going to graph y equals negative 3. Notice how there's no x in it. And I'm going to show you how they look and how different they are. So we've got y equals negative 3x, and in yellow I'm going to do y equals negative 3. Oops. Alright, so on the pink one, I'm going to pick values of x that make my life easy. So 0, let's say 1, and negative 1. So if I put in 0, then I get out 0, because negative 3 times 0 is 0. Oh, oops. Okay, whenever I put in 1, I get out negative 3. And whenever I put in negative 1 times negative 3 is positive 3. Okay, so those are my 3 points for y equals negative 3x. So it goes right here, and right here. Okay, so notice how this line crosses the x-axis and it crosses the y-axis. That's because it has an x and a y in the equation. Alright, so over here it says y is equal to negative 3. So I've got negative 3 is my y. X can be any number I want. Okay, so the yellow one is going to look like this. So the yellow one is a horizontal line. I hope you can see that here. I'll kind of go over that with another color. Okay? So do you see the difference in those two lines? The one that doesn't have an X does not cross the x-axis. The one that has an X and a Y in it crosses both axes. So it's important that you realize that these two equations are very different. Alright, so that's it for this lesson. If you need any help, send me a message.